Welcome into Centre Court thanks to Cobram Estate, Australia's most awarded extra virgin olive oil, grown, harvested and first cold pressed in northern Victoria. Right here on the couch, we take a deeper look at the athletes, coaches and voices who define netball in Australia. The conversation unfolds in 4 quarters, giving our guests room to share who they are away from netball, the highs and lows of their career and the future they're building beyond the court. It's honest, it's reflective, and it's the side of the game that you don't always get to see. Today's guest is everyone's favourite teammate, a foundation Maverick, a steady leader, and now a soon-to-be mum stepping into a new chapter both on and off the court. She has been through one of life's biggest heartbreaks, and she is someone I share a very special bond with. I speak of Molly Jovic. Mol, thank you for coming onto the couch, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks, Kels.
I'm really excited to dive into all things, and we cut this into 4 different parts, but we start every single episode by asking our guest a very simple question. Thanks to Priceline Pharmacy, we know health and beauty. What season of life are you in right now?
God. A lot of change. Obviously about to be a mother, which is still scaring me. Someone said to me at round 1, they were like, oh, this time next year you'll have a baby here. And I was like, I'll have a baby? So change, but exciting change.
I feel like this season is something that you'll step into with excitement, probably a different viewpoint from a lot of other mothers stepping into this. What is the main emotion that you're feeling at the moment? Obviously you've said scared, but is excitement one?
Yeah, definitely now. I think I've processed the shock and the scared and the lots of change, and now it's just excitement and waiting. I think I've got 3.5 months to go now. So.
Wow, that is short.
Yes, yes.
Are you thinking of names and everything?
Thinking of names, struggling with boy names, so any suggestions?
I don't have any. I'm not sitting there planning anything anytime soon. But your day-to-day life would look very different now. You've gone from being a full-time netballer. We'll get into the accounting stuff that you do as well, because you are really multifaceted and we love that about you. But what's a day-to-day in Molly Jovic's life look at the moment?
Okay, strangely it hasn't changed too much. I am still training, which I'm not doing any silly like contested or match play kind of stuff, but I'm just trying to keep fit. I'm doing 3 running sessions and 3 gym sessions a week. One of the running sessions, or it's supposed to be 2, will be a court session still. So Richo's loving still throwing balls at me and telling me what to do. So I don't know, I'm going to do that for as long as I can, because another 3 months is a long time, and a long time to be running by yourself. And in Melbourne, outdoor weather is not ideal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm enjoying it at the moment.
And you're getting to be around the girls still. You're obviously taken on a different role, but you've been at every game. You're traveling a little bit at the moment. How does that role sit for you at the moment? How hard is it to be off the court and watching what the girls are doing at the moment?
It's so weird. It's completely bizarre. I feel like I don't have like a proper role. I'm obviously still vice captain, so want to support the girls, but I'm not coaching. I'm kind of running around being like, how can I help? Like, do you want me to fill up drink bottles? Like, keep me busy. Don't let me sit here. And even sitting on the sidelines, like the girls have played amazing the first 3 games, but it's so hard watching and just knowing that I'm not going to go out there at all this season. But yeah, it's been different.
What's the biggest change you think you've had to make in terms of your life? Like, what has shocked you most about being pregnant?
Heaps.
Fatigue.
Yeah, fatigue. It's crazy. The first trimester was not fun. The nausea, the sickness, the morning all day sickness, and still training. Now that I'm over that, I'll take the fatigue any day. But yeah, I feel like, I'm still trying to keep my life as normal as possible until I can't. Yeah.
And when we talk about obviously you moving into a different phase of life, I'm sure there's a lot of people. You've got your partner Cameron, who's also about to become a first-time dad. But who in your life at the moment is sort of keeping you balanced and keeping you able to function as still being a part of the Mavs, trying to grow a baby, and then everything else you're doing? Who's keeping you the most balanced?
Probably a few people. Shay, Mavs GM, has been incredible. I remember when I was telling her that I was pregnant and I burst into tears because I felt like I was letting everyone down. She was so excited for me, and she, sent me an article straight away about how important it is to support, you know, women going through this in sport. And yeah, it just made me feel really seen and feel like I can come back. So that's been good. The girls at the club have been amazing, and they're trying really hard to keep me involved in everything still, which I'm like, guys, it's fine, but it's really nice. And then obviously Cameron has been, yeah, like a rock and organising everything baby-wise, because it's a steep learning curve for me. And just my dad's been awesome. I told him the day I found out, and yeah, he's so excited.
We're going to get to your family and what they mean to you and all of that in a bit. But if you think about moments that make you the most happiest at the moment, what is it? Is it being around the Mavs? Is it setting up a nursery at home? What moments are making you tick?
Good question. Yeah, I think still being involved in the Mavs and being around the girls has probably kept me sane a bit, because it can be quite overwhelming. But yeah, also just there's so many things that are changing and that are exciting for me. We're moving into a new place, so we're not quite in the nesting stage, we're in the find a house stage at the moment. But yeah, all of the above.
We talk about your family and how I know that they're a massive support system for you. You've got brothers, your dad, Cameron, but you're also just very tight-knit. You're about to have your own little family. What are the values and the lessons that you're hoping to instill in your baby and your family that you've learnt from yours?
Yeah, I think if I look at my family, like me and my brothers are all best friends, really. And we fought like crazy when we were growing up. Like, we have some serious stories that we could share that we shouldn't. But now I reflect on that and they're my best friends. So I would love for, you know, if I have another child after this one, for them to have the same relationship that I have with my brothers. But then if I reflect on like mum and dad, like my mum was such a hard worker, and I think that instilled like great life lessons for me and my brothers. And she had this boss woman job, but then also had time for everyone and volunteered at, you know, when I was playing for Williamstown Juniors Netball Club, she'd volunteer in helping out like on treasury or whatever she'd do. She'd just have time for everyone. And then dad always helped all of us just not take life too seriously. So I think we have like a good balance of like working hard, but like it's not the end of the world.
I can see all of those traits in you. You are a boss woman, but you also don't take things very seriously, and that is one of the greatest assets that you have, because you can make any environment very fun. Let's talk about being a boss woman though. You're also an accountant, and there's been times that you've played netball full-time professionally, but also held an accounting job. Where does that sit with you and the accounting side of things? Are you dabbling in that at the moment as well?
Not at the moment. The last couple of years I have kind of gone back and worked in the off-season where I can, which has been really good, just to keep my foot in the door. As we all know, netball doesn't last forever.
No.
So
you'll end up as a host.
move over, Kelsey. Yeah, so I have been doing that in the off season, which has been good. And, you know, it's also nice to do something that's not netball sometimes as well, because you can get caught up in that. But during season time, there's no time. So yeah, it's good that I have the balance, and it's also just knowing that I have something else there if required.
Absolutely, you need something on the back burner. I don't love saying, oh, something to fall back on, because I think they can all coexist.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You do that incredibly well. Before we move on though, have you had to think about what kind of mum you want to be? Are you going to be a cool mum? Are you going to be strict? Do you know?
I don't know. I feel like I can say all these things that I'd love to be.
You'll get into it.
And then the child will be here and it'll just, I don't know, I've heard so many stories about everything changing. I think personally that I'll be the strict one.
Really?
I think Cameron will be the softie, but that's based on how we treat the dog. So the baby will come and it will probably flip, but yeah, I guess I'm happy just to wait and see and just play it all out.
Now let's turn our attention to quarter two, where we dive headfirst into your netball journey, thanks to Cobram Estate, Australia's most awarded extra virgin olive oil, grown, harvested and first cold pressed in northern Victoria. Let's go right back to the beginning. Little Molly suiting up in her first ever netball skirt. It was probably a skirt and a top back in those days, definitely
those
not
nice
dresses.
Little ones.
Yeah, with the zip and the little lock. Can you remember the first time you spent on a netball court?
No, but I get told about it.
Enlighten us.
Yeah, my dad likes to remind me that he used to hate coming and watching me play because I'd be doing cartwheels or just having a chat with the girls on the sideline. I played a lot of basketball too, and he will say that there was just like a moment that it clicked and I started being competitive and stuff. But prior to that, he had no interest in coming along and watching.
Where, if you play obviously basketball and netball, there has to be a moment where you choose one or the other. Do you remember that moment in time as well?
Yeah, that was quite a distinct moment. That was, my mum had kind of sat me down, and because she was wanted me to succeed academically as well. And every night I was out doing basketball and netball until year 11. Every morning I'd be at MSAC doing basketball. So schoolwork kind of took the back burner. And she's like, okay, year 12, let's make a decision. So we have some time to study and sort that all out. And in year 11, I went on a tour to the US with the Victorian basketball team and went around and looked at colleges. And at this time, I was playing for Victoria for both basketball and netball. And I probably enjoyed basketball more, but was more successful at netball. And I did this tour, and the next step for basketball would have been going and playing in the States for a college team. And netball was staying here and doing the VNL and trying to push for ANL and all that. And so I came back, and I just didn't want to commit to living in America for the next 4 years. And so that was really my decision at the end. So year 12, it was netball. And my school coach, Marg Molina, was very happy with that.
Great woman.
Yeah, she was very happy with that. She fought throughout all my school years to get me to stop playing basketball. So she won in the end.
Finally happened at the end of, or in year 12.
Yeah.
But you talk about VNL and ANL and finding your way there. You played a couple of seasons in the Fury, but were always overlooked in the Vixens for training positions.
Yeah.
What was the biggest thing you took from those disappointments?
At the time, I really struggled because I took, even to get into the ANL team, the Fury, it took me 3 or 4 years, and they'd had trials. I don't know if they still do trials, but they had trials those days. And every year, I think the first year I walked in like quite confident that I would, because I'd had quite a successful career, well, underage at that point, and I'd done pretty well, and I didn't make it. And so that was heartbreaking the first time I didn't make it. And then every year, I think it was 3 or 4 years that I actually didn't make it, I felt quite vulnerable putting myself forward. It got to the point that I didn't want to. I was like, I'm not going. But my parents were like, they believed in me, and they were like, no, come on, just one more time. Eventually made it. But yeah, it was really hard just putting myself in that situation to keep going back.
Yeah, and you think, you know, now we sit here having had a lot more probably trauma in our life, but at the time, missing out on a team that you really want to make when you think that you deserve to be there, and it's 3 to 4 years is a long time to just keep showing up, but I'm very glad you did because I got to be your teammate later on in life. You played for Joey's back in my hometown of Geelong. Obviously a very special time for you because you've created quite strong friendships and lifelong memories from there. Is that where you met Cameron?
Yeah, tragically it is.
It's where you met Cameron, so that Joey's has been a big part of your life. But you went back to footy netball, which is what we call it. Was that purely for fun? Had you sort of parked the idea that maybe you'd make it professionally at that point?
That was probably still in the stage where I was struggling to break into ANL, and one of my friends, Georgette Patch, had played down there her whole life, and she was like, come down and play. And I remember the first time Mum was driving me down to Geelong, and it was pouring raining, and my mum's from the country, so she's played a lot of outdoor netball, and it was pouring raining, and little me, who's used to the indoor Altona courts, I was like, all right, Mum, like, turn around, like, I'm not interested in this, like, they're going to cancel the game. She just started laughing. She's like, haha.
You've got no idea.
You're going to have to play in this. But it was the best time. Like, I think, obviously, the girls that make SSN from when they're 18 or whatever, I almost feel sorry that they miss out on this period of their life. I just had the best time. I've made 2 of my best friends down there, met Cameron, like the community aspect of playing social netball. Well, they probably wouldn't call it social netball, but
it is.
Local footy netball was the best. And, you know, I probably needed that because I'd lost a lot of love for the game, and it just made me enjoy it again.
I couldn't attest to that more. I feel like anyone who doesn't get to experience footy netball is missing out, because it was such a formative part of even my journey that and love of netball. So it's interesting to hear you say that, and I love that that's where you met Cameron, and it's a really it's a really big part, probably at like a ball or something like that.
It actually was
Joey's ball.
That's so he stole my number, so
well, look at where you are now. Let's move forward though to Magpies.
Yep.
Now you get picked up. Can you explain how this happened? Because I seem to lack memory, but you came in for me or Madison?
Originally, yeah. No, so actually I had quit netball. This is so the end of 2018, when Mum was really sick. I decided that because I was working full time at Deloitte and I was training, I was in fury and I'd made the squad and they hadn't picked the team yet or something. And I was training every night after work, and Mum was sick at home, and I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I've tried to break through for a number of years. Like, I'd rather spend time at home. And so I quit, and then I think it must have been February or March, I got a phone call from Alyssa Kent saying, do you want to fill in for the Tassie Magpies for a couple of games? And I was like, oh, well, like, hadn't been training for, I don't know, 3 months or something. I was like, all right, let's just do it. Why not? Like, I was in like a who cares kind of attitude, and did it, played a couple of games that season. Then sadly you did your knee. So
fun.
And I think that was near the end of your season.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And so
August.
then they were like looking around for someone, and I got a random text message from Jane Woodlands. I'm sitting in the audit room at Deloitte, like with my team. I get this like long text message from Jane Woodlands Thompson. I'm like, is this a scam? Like,
don't you love that?
like, I just kind of, I'd parked the idea of this even becoming a thing. So I was like, and I've screenshot it and I've sent it to Cameron, and I'm like, what? And it's like called me straight away. I'm like, all right, like we'll entertain it, whatever. And I ended up signing a replacement contract for you. But so that was because you were going to be back in time for the season.
Yes, but then plot twist.
COVID.
No, and Maddie did her knee at the start of the season.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that's why there's a little bit of confusion around.
Yeah.
It was one of the
And then
rounds.
Brazzy did her knee.
And then Brazzy, yeah. So
yeah.
I feel like you
Bad
came
time
in.
for knees.
Yeah. Rip the knees. But it was great to have you in, and you were in sort of amongst it.
Yeah.
But not really sure whether you were going to be elevated to the group, and then all of a sudden you became part of the furniture. We have reflected a lot on this show about the Magpies, so I probably don't want to delve into it too much more, but how do you find your time at Magpies? It might be a little bit different for you because it was the first place that you get given a professional contract. It's the first place that you get to step onto an SSN court, so it might be a different experience for you.
Probably. I'm very grateful for Rob Wright for giving me my first contract. The first season was obviously really hard because it was the COVID hub year, and you weren't there, Maddie wasn't there. So I felt like I was kind of thrown into the deep end a little bit. But across the whole time, I think I had 4 years there, I made really good friendships, and just the people at the club as well, I really enjoyed. Obviously, the ending wasn't how we wanted it. But, you know, it gave me my first opportunity, and probably one that I thought I was never going to have. So, yeah, it's bittersweet almost.
Yeah. And we haven't touched ever on the hub, but I feel like we forget about that. And what was it, 6 or so years ago? Yeah, and it was really difficult. We got shipped up to the hub, but we were randomly staying,
Twin Waters. We did the 2 weeks in quarantine. We won 1 game for the whole season. Oh. Yeah. Whilst like you reflect and you're like, everyone in Melbourne was doing it really tough, and we were up there and, you know, going to the beach and stuff. Like it was still really hard.
Oh, emotionally, probably the toughest season I think we've done. And I think so many new players in there, obviously some injuries, and then not winning really compounds everything on top of that. And I know that when we revisit Twin Waters for years after that.
We laugh.
All of us.
We laugh. It's
What a horrible time. But let's move forward because Mavs holds a very special place in your heart. I know that. So post Collingwood, obviously the club folds, Mavs is created, and you're one of the first people signed to the Mavericks. Tracy calls you up, gives you this mid-court position. Is this feeling like, all right, I've made it now, I'm one of the first signed to an inaugural team. It's a really special moment. I can make this mine.
Yeah, yes and no. I think like Tracy calling, and she was so complimentary, and so that was also really nice. But at the same time, like we'd all at Pies kind of not known what we were doing for, I don't know, 6 to however many months. And so it was almost relief. Like, okay, I've got somewhere to go. Like, I am wanted. I went and kicked the footy at Collingwood for, I remember before I broke my arm, because I broke my arm in the last game, would train for netball, and then I'd go and Jordan Roughhead would come and kick the footy with me for like half an hour or something to see if that was an option. So I was really just hanging on to anything at that point. And then Tracy called and the Mavericks existed, and I spoke to Shay about what she like saw for this club, and she sat me down in the boardroom upstairs and was basically just speaking my language and what she wanted this club to be, and like who she wanted to highlight, and she wanted to make people, you know, that aren't necessarily the cookie cutter netball players, which I've never been, and I've always been reminded that feel seen and valued. And yeah, I remember leaving here with my manager after speaking to Shay and being like, let's just sign the contract. Like, let's go. Like, no one else wanted me. And I was like, let's just get it done. Like, and he was like, Molly, we've got to play it cool.
You're like,
give it a second. Yeah. I'm there
now.
But yeah, it's been really special.
I love that you mentioned also that period of time where it was like, oh, am I going to play AFLW and trial for a team? Because that was the reality of Collingwood folding.
Yeah.
Where else can I be a professional sports person? And you can actually kick the footy and handball. So there was an
not on the run.
element. There was an element that you could do that. But I am so happy that you found a home at Mavs, and it does really speak to you're a trailblazer and you're someone who hasn't done it the conventional way. Your story looks very different to others, and I feel like that's the angle that Mavs has always tried to go, that we're a bunch of potential misfits coming together and creating something really special and proving that whatever journey you take, you can make it there in the end. Being part of a foundation club, though, is very rare. It's building it from the ground up, being a part of the culture and what that looks like. How special has that process been for you, and having a say in what Mavericks looks like now? Yeah,
it's been really cool, actually. There's obviously been bits that are hard, like going from Collingwood's training facilities out to Waverley, which we were very grateful to have Waverley. They took us in and they were amazing, but it's a change. And, you know, most of the girls that came together that first year, like a couple had played together before, but the majority, we hadn't played together, and we all knew each other, but, you know, you're trying to make impressions. It's a whole new team. So there was a few challenges, but it was also really exciting because the group was amazing, and like the girls, we just got along straight away, and there seemed to be no kind of issues. And yeah, it kind of makes it easier when you are going through things like building a club and trying to work out what your values are and everything, when you've got those connections, and it's easy to build straight away.
Yeah, and I think having a say in that and being able to live it out on court means a lot, because sometimes you can come into a club and you just take on and absorb what was there before you. So being able to do that and be a part of that, and you've become a leader at this club. You said before you're still vice captain even though you're not on court this year. If you look towards what the Mavericks could be in a couple of years' time, what excites you the most about where you're going?
Yeah, I mean, I won't beat around the bush. We've had a lot of change over the last 3 years as well, but I think fundamentally, like, the way that we have seen the club go is on the right trajectory over the last 3 years. Like, it's never going to be easy starting a club from scratch. And the way the girls are playing at the moment is so exciting. And Jez has come in and he is a funny guy. I love him, and he's got his own approach, and he's got different ways to think about netball. And I think that's what this club is, like, really what we've been wanting to do from the start. So it's exciting. I'm keen to get back out there and be coached by Jez, but yeah, I'm really excited.
That was going to be my next question. The aim is to return after Bub?
Yeah, at this stage, I'm sitting there at the moment, and I thought that as soon as the games would start, like the whole time I've wanted to come back, but you know, you never know how it's going to change across this kind of journey. But as soon as I thought that it would be telling when the girls start playing, and it is, like at this stage, I still really want to come back. It'll be hard, but yeah. It's a challenge.
I can't wait to see the return, Mol.
Yeah.
So Molly, before we get a bit deeper, let's add some sugar thanks to Struddies. Gear up this season with Struddies. Shop with Struddies because they're your buddies, struddies.com.au. So this is a bit of quick fire.
Okay.
I love this part because it breaks it up. And all the other episodes haven't really been that quick fire because we just talk. But wherever you want to go with this. Favourite SSN dress you've ever worn?
Mav's Pride dress last year. That was hot.
Was it? Was it like colourful?
Yeah, it had the wings, the rainbow wings, and the bibs matched it as well. It was really cool.
Amazing. Yeah. One player, past or present, you'd love to play with?
I'm gonna say Richo.
Oh,
because sometimes when she's yelling at me on the sideline and wants me to do a million things, I'm like, come on, Richo. Like, I want to see you do it. We always joke about that, so she won't take that.
She'll laugh at that.
She'll laugh at that.
Your coffee order, I know this. Almond latte?
Hasn't changed.
Hasn't changed. Most underrated teammate you've ever had?
Jackie Newton, now playing for Cardiff Dragons.
Star.
Elastigirl.
Fun.
Arms that go forever.
So much fun.
Yeah.
Dance
Great
queen.
human.
Hardest opponent you've ever matched up against?
Laura Langman in my first year.
Ditto. Favourite court to play on?
John Cain, but also love Sunny Coast.
Oh.
Yeah, which is rogue. Not many people do.
Why?
I don't know. I think I like the small stadium and good vibes.
Best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Okay, this is a bit corny, but my dad always says, like, just trust your cape. Like, whatever you're like jumping into, whatever decision you made, just trust it.
And the cape is like whatever you put
Or
in
you're going to fall into something, like, just go.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Favourite moment of your career so far?
I think it would have to be winning our first ever game that we won for Mavs. Yeah. In the Sunny Coast. Maybe that's why.
Maybe that is why. Two more. Are you superstitious, and do you have a pre-game ritual?
I'm not superstitious. Maybe I should be. But no, just a walk and a coffee and I'm good.
And the almond latte.
And the almond latte.
Last one. Now, this is my favourite question of this time. If you could relive one game, which one would it be and why? Now, you can choose one that you lost and you'd love to redo, or you can choose one that you'd love to relive again that you won.
I'm just thinking this is probably also one of my favourite games, and it was one of our last games at Pies against Adelaide Thunderbirds.
Yes.
And I don't know, we all were just kind of taking it, we were taking it seriously.
But not really.
But we were also finding things to laugh at along the way, which is really nice. And I don't know, it was just, some of those games were like also the happiest I was because we all were just playing so carefree and just enjoying because we thought it was the last time with our friends. Like, so that was pretty cool as well. And beating the Thunderbirds, which everyone thought that wasn't a chance. And where did we finish that year? Last or second last?
One of those.
And we bet the top of the table, and because we were just having fun.
And it speaks volumes of the fact that when you kind of let things go and you're
just
not
have
too serious, because it can get so heavy in a season, and it was in Magpies at times, just so heavy losing all the time. But yes, I remember that game and I agree with you, one of the favourites. So now we've had our sugar. As we both know, netball and any professional sport isn't always sunshines and rainbows, as is life. So let's get into some of the tougher conversations. Now, I'm going to preface this with I'll probably cry.
Okay, well, you're going to make me cry.
But I want to start this quarter, it's the third quarter, with just talking about a phone call that I made to you. Don't look at me. No, I'm joking. Now, I want to start this quarter by talking about a phone call that I made to you. Both of us are in a club at the moment that I know we both wish we weren't in, and I have known you for a really long time, and I've only known you since you've been in this club. Now, my mum was sick for 2.5 years. We know that in August last year she passed away, and I remember 4 weeks before she passed away, it was getting quite serious. And I was in all sorts, and I didn't really know where to turn to. Going on TikTok or Instagram and trying to find someone who understood what you were going through was really difficult. And I was over in Perth, and you were here, and you and I are friends, but we hadn't spoken for a long time, and life gets in the way. And I remember thinking the only person I want to talk to right now is Molly. And I remember sitting in the car and just calling you. And you called me back straight away, and you were like, hey, and almost in shock as to like, what's this coming out of nowhere? Yeah, and I just sat on the phone with you and bawled my eyes out. And I can't tell you how much that phone call helped me, and just your advice and sitting on the phone with someone who I know cares about me and also just wanted to know if I was okay and if you could help. And I think that speaks volumes to who you are as a person, that you're always willing to help someone. And even though this is a really tough thing for you to talk about as well, you were so willing to sit and be a bit of guidance for me. So I just want to put that out there. I think it's a really nice moment that you and I have shared. We've shared plenty of good moments together, but that one's probably one of my favorites. So let's talk about the passing of your mum, Anne. Can you tell us a little bit about how it all sort of happened, finding out how devastating it was at the time, and then the timeline?
Yeah. So I think it was 2017 or 2016 maybe. Mum had a seizure at work, and I had worked at her work in accounts payable while I was at university, and so I had someone from work's number, they had mine, and so I'm getting this phone call. Mum always worked late. She was, crazy, very driven. She was a CFO of a listed company. She was acting CEO at the time, and we just expected her. Sometimes we wouldn't hear from her, but she'd be home and she'd be okay. And I was getting phone calls from someone at Mum's work that I hadn't worked with for a while, and I was like, what's going on here? And I remember answering on like the third call, and she was like panicking, and your mum's in hospital, and I just couldn't deal with it at the time, and I kind of panicked and gave the phone to Dad. But she'd had a seizure, and she got taken into anyway, it doesn't matter, the hospital on St Kilda Road, and we kind of came in, and at that point in time we were like, oh no, like maybe she has epilepsy or something like this. Nothing like this has happened before. And it was probably like 3 or 4 weeks of them doing tests, and they started off by saying that they'd found a shadow in her brain. They wouldn't call it a tumour, which was probably a good thing at that point in time. They did a biopsy, and Joe, my little brother, poor kid, was in year 12 at the time as well. And they sat, Mum didn't want us in the room, but they sat Dad and I down and said that it's brain cancer, and I can't remember what the actual name of it was, but it was basically the worst one, and they told her to take out her super and quit her job and basically tick off her bucket list. And we didn't know how to tell Joe, and my mum is the most determined person in the world, but she was like, nah, not doing any of that. I'm going back to work. But yeah, so they got the tumour out, they got all of it out, but because of what it was, they just knew that it was going to come back and it wasn't going to be a good ending. So yeah, that happened. I think it must have been 2017, because Mum lasted, that's probably not the best word, but it took, 18 months for it to eventually get her, but throughout that 18 months was probably the worst 18 months of all of our lives, I think. And you would know, you're living in anxiety every day. I can't even tell you how many operations she had, how many times it came back, and having brain surgery is really stressful. And every time they'd go in, they'd be like, there's a chance that this might happen, or she might not be able to talk, or so every time she's going into surgery, are we going to see her again? Are we going to be able to talk to her again? And then on top of that, it was the seizures that she'd have, really randomly, and I'd get phone calls from Dad being in hysterics, being like, I'm following the ambulance into the hospital, like when you get it, like calm. Yeah, it's a bit of a blur, but it was just an absolute roller coaster of living on anxiety. Like I still, even now, like when I get phone calls from family members, I'm like, what's wrong? Like, is everyone okay? But yeah, it got to a point in October, actually, it was my birthday weekend, that she had a really bad seizure and that we got sat down and they were like, we can't operate anymore. She has 3 months to live. And even then, she still refused to accept it, you know. Once you have a brain surgery, you can't drive for however long. She was like, I'm not having surgery for however long. This was during the process, just so she could drive again, because she could have her independence. She refused to quit her job. She was like, I just need normality, which, you know, Dad hated because Dad wanted to go and do all these things with her and travel. But I actually went to Europe during 2018. And Dad and Mum came and visited, and so Dad's like so grateful that I went because I didn't want to go either. And I ended up cutting my trip short, but Dad's so grateful that I went because then he got to go with her and have that time as well. But yeah, October, they told us that it was 3 months, and she pretty much lasted 3 months to the day they were knock on. And yeah, I think it's really weird, and you would probably know this too, but that whole 18 months of her going through that and us watching her go through that and living in anxiety every day for what the day is going to be, you almost get to the end, and it sounds terrible to say, but it's almost like relief. Like, obviously so sad and angry, and, you know, my life's never going to be the same now, but I was relieved that, like, my little brother, who didn't have to be stressed all the time, or like my dad didn't have to follow an ambulance into the hospital, you know. So it's, yeah, it was, don't cry. It was 100% the worst time of my life, and I still, like, it sucks that I don't get her in my life now for all these exciting things that are happening. Yeah.
I don't think until you've been through something like that, and I do get emotional because it obviously you do. No, but it's one of the hardest things you'll ever have to go through. And I know I speak very highly of you, but one of the things that you are is just so incredibly resilient and so incredibly strong. And I think obviously going through something like this instills all of those traits in you. But what was it about that time that you probably learnt the most? Because I have an opinion that maybe it's perspective,
Yeah.
and it's that, you know, life is really short and that it does change your perspective on a lot of things. But for you, what did that time teach you?
Yeah, it absolutely is perspective. And even, like, you know, sometimes you get caught up in the nitty-gritty of netball, or like a win or a loss. And like, I have absolutely gotten caught up and cried after a game or after a performance or something. But then I think when you take a step back and you remove yourself from it, you're like, it's really not that deep, and I'm playing keepings off for a living and it's the best thing ever. But like, I've already been through all this, which was the hardest thing and will be probably the hardest thing, well, I hope, that I've ever had to go through. But also seeing how my mum approached it, I think, like, you know, there's probably two arguments. Like, Dad would have loved if she took time off and decided to accept her fate, but she just never did, which was hard for us. But also just her determination and all the stuff she had to go through and how strong she was when she did. Like, I feel like if someone can do that, like, all these other little things, like, it's just, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. And during that period of time, you mentioned it before, I think in quarter two, where you said you didn't want to be going to Fury and A&L and playing netball and spending time away from your mum. You made the very tough choice at that period of time. I feel like on reflection, it's probably not tough because you know that, you know, you wanted to spend time with your mum. But at the time when you're really trying to chase your dreams, making a decision to step away from netball and essentially the weight of maybe that's my dream gone. How tough was that and those discussions with your mum? I feel like I know that she would have been like, do not give this up, but you still chose that. Was there a belief that you knew that you would end up where you are now?
No, I think I'd accepted, and I was actually at peace with it. I had a great underage, you know, run, and I had a great time at City West Falcons, and it wasn't important. Like when you see your family member go through something like that, like it's just not important. But I do remember she was not happy because she was always my biggest advocate. She loved netball and, you know, she believed in me. She thought I could make it. She was my strongest, you know, advocate. And so when I did tell her, she was not happy. And I don't know if anyone's had anyone go through brain cancer either, but it changes your personality. You're on all these drugs and, you know, it's hard to have those kind of conversations with someone like that. So that was really hard. However, she took a lot of it out on Cameron, actually.
We love Cameron. Sorry, Cameron.
Sorry, Cameron. Yeah, because he'd kind of entered the scene a year before as well, and he kind of made me realise that, like, netball isn't what's important here as well. He really helped me. But, you know, he never stopped believing. He thought that I could. It was a little time off before I'd come back, but in my mind I was done. And yeah, it was really hard having that conversation with her. And, you know, I'm not a believer in the afterlife or anything like that, but I hope that, like, she has somehow seen where I've ended up now.
I have no doubt that she's somewhere around there, whatever you choose to believe in, because I also think that's another thing that happens. You don't know what you believe in until that happens, and then all of a sudden you're looking at lights turn on and off and you're like, hey, Mum, people think you're strange.
It's a sign.
Yeah. Let's finish that, because I love talking to you about this, because I think there's not a lot out there for maybe a young netballer or a young girl going through something like this, and it is a part of life. And the more people I've spoken to, the more they say that there's just not many people that talk about it. So I'm really grateful for you coming on and sharing your story. But also, if there was anything that, just like the phone call, if there was anything that you had to say to someone going through something as difficult as this, is there some bit of advice or something that you could share with them?
Yeah, I mean, that there is light at the end of the tunnel. I know that people don't think that is, and it sounds terrible to say, I said it before, but when you're in the thick of it, it is really hard. And when, you know, well, in my case, that my mum passed away, and yes, I was extremely sad and will be sad about that for the rest of my life, like, but there is some kind of relief and there's some kind of peace there, which, yeah. So, I don't know, it's hard and you can get caught up in the middle of it, but yeah, you will come out of it, whatever way it looks, yeah.
You are an amazing person, Molly. I value you a lot, and I think your story is so unique, and for the good and the bad. And I think you embrace all of it, and the way that you approach all of these things is just a credit to you and everything that you've been through. Deep breaths after a big quarter three, but let's look towards quarter four, which means we're coming to the end of the podcast. And this is the part we love because it's the legacy quarter, thanks to HCF. It's a chance to reflect, look back and look forward. And when you look at everything you've been through in your career, Molly, what do you look back as the moment that mattered the most to you? It could be a moment that broke you or a moment that made you. What is your HCF moment that mattered?
There's probably two. There's probably Collingwood folding. That was huge, and it just made me cemented that I wanted to keep playing or keep being an athlete. You know, I wasn't ready to go back and being a full-time accountant, but also just my first contract ever as well, because that was something that I'd kind of it wasn't going to happen for me in my mind. Yeah. And
it was later. How old?
I was 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely later. You know, I look back now and I'm like, I got to play Joey's, you know, so many good things about it. But yeah, so there's probably two.
When you look forward, say in 10 years' time, and who knows where you've been, maybe you've had 5 kids and you're still running around a netball court. What do you hope the legacy of Molly Jovic is?
I feel like we've spoken about this before, and, you know, obviously I want to be known as a good netballer. That's important, but it's more than that, and it's being a good person and it's being a good teammate. You know, I think it's really easy for people to remember, like, the heroes of the game and stuff, but also it's who you've played with and who you've made connections with. And yeah, I just really hope it's a good friend and a good teammate.
I said it off the top, everyone's favourite teammate. Do you feel like that's what you've done?
No.
Of course, come on. I feel like you're everyone's go-to, especially at Magpies, I'm sure at the Mavericks as well. You are the turn to. I feel like...
That's really nice.
You put in a conscious effort, and like it's just who you are, but it's an effort to be person first, player second. When you imagine your future, what excites you the most about what you're balancing? You're about to be a mum, netballer, accountant, balance. What does it look like?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's quite unknown to me at the moment. So, and that's exciting. But yeah, like I guess starting my little family is pretty cool, and hopefully, you know, staying involved in netball in some capacity. I always thought early in my career that once I left netball, I'd be done with it, and you know, but I feel like now, like it's become such a big part of me, and I've really enjoyed like this experience I've had the last 6-7 years as well. So whatever capacity, probably not coaching.
I was going to say, what does it look like? Are you the club accountant?
God, no, I don't know. I feel like it would be hard to like let that part go, and maybe I will. I don't know. There's so much unknown, and I've been doing a bit of work the last couple of years to try and work out what is next post netball. But yeah, it's funny how it changes from the start of my career, thinking that I'd just leave it and be done, to now I'm like, oh no, it's actually been good. It's been good. I
can see you as like a 2IC to Shea Bolton Brown, and just
I could do that. Like... Shea, tell me what. That's what I'm doing. Well, I'm not doing that at the moment, but that's the here if you need, guys, because I can't be on court. I'm like, who needs their drink bottles?
Yeah, but I feel like
can I help you?
Business.
Need a tampon?
Yeah. That's it. That stuff is important. Lastly, Molly, it's been a pleasure to sit down with you. I know I've said that throughout. It's been one of, you know, the best ones because we are friends, and I know you pretty well. Yeah. Is there anything that you want to say to anyone out there, or any last words?
Oh, geez, it's like a send-off, like. No, I think like I'm just really grateful for, and as I said before, like the first few years of my career were probably hard, and I looked at them and I was like, when I'm done, I'm done. But you know, reflecting now, it's just all these amazing people that I've met, all these friendships that I've made. I feel really lucky, and I hate using the word lucky because we've worked really hard to get where we've got to, but I think lucky in the sense that the people I've got to meet, and yeah, the connections that I've made.
And you've got a hell of a lot of aunties at the moment to look after.
It's great. I'm going to need it.
Jovic. Mol, thank you so much for your time. Absolutely enjoy the rest of your pregnancy, and enjoy the rest of this season with the Mavs. There's exciting things happening on the court at the moment, but I know that they're making moves off it as well, and you're a big part of that. So we can't wait to see you back whenever that is. All the best for pregnancy, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
This has been Centre Court, thanks to Cobram Estate, Australia's most awarded extra virgin olive oil. It is grown, harvested and first cold pressed in Northern Victoria.